Hey, everybody. I am Kevin Ioli. Welcome to Yahoo Sports on April 16th at Apex. There was a good one in the main event. It is a rematch of a fight from a few years ago. Vicente Luque going up against my guest right now, Belal Muhammad, in a very important welterweight fight. Belal, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, bro. Glad to be here.
One of the questions, I guess, obviously you have to, get some answers. He caught you with a left hook the last time and was able to stop you in that first fight. But the other thing that I guess is interesting is you were Muslim, and this is the month of Ramadan, and you were on a fast. And so I just find it fascinating as an athlete. How do you get nutrition to be able to, train the way you need to and be ready for the fight?
For me, it's hard, but I've done it for multiple camps already. So like I kind of have it down to like a system of just putting the right stuff in when it's time to eat. When I break my fast at 7 p.m. at night, it's like I just finished the weight cut where I got to put the right fluids in and then get the right stuff in, so I'll be able to perform and do well the next day at practice. So like just getting the right carbs in, getting stuff that's gonna like white rice, white potatoes, stuff that digests quickly, and then you still don't want to go overboard and ruin your weight cut as well. So just staying healthy, staying on the course with it. Luckily for me, it's I've done it already before, and it's not a full month I have to go through yet. It's the second week the fight week. So for my fight, it was a lot harder because I had to go for the full month and then maintain the weight cut the whole time through. So this time it's been a little bit easier. This was a longer camp, so I was adjusting already my weight cut, everything toward it already, trying to get my weight lower already before the month hit.
You're one of those guys that, anybody, anytime, anywhere, everybody knows that about you. But I almost wonder why not, why take a fight during Ramadan when you have to train like that, as opposed to just waiting until afterwards and say, hey, I'm not available during this period of time. And that way, you can be on, firing on all cylinders and not have to make any adjustments.
Honestly, for me, I tell myself every year, I'm like, I'm not going to do it this time. I'm not going to do it this time. But for this one, it was weird because, they were calling me for fights in March, and then they were calling me for the end of March. And then, it was like the beginning of April. Then they were like, you want to fight him? You want to fight him? You want to fight him? And I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then all of a sudden they kept switching it up. And then they said, all right, it's you and Luque, but they didn't have a date on there. And then he called me back and he was like, all right, that's you against Luque, April 16th, main event. And then all I heard was Luque main event. And I was just like, let's go. Not thinking about the date or anything. But it was just the name and the fight I wanted. So it's like, all right, let's get it. Like, I'm not a guy that really thinks about, all right, let me make sure that I have no weddings or anything to go to before this fight. It's like, all right, you call me for a fight, I'm going to say, if I like the name, I like it's going to do a lot for me, I'm going to take it.
The two of you are probably two of the hottest guys in the division right now. You're really racking up a lot of wins. Obviously, this is, maybe, I don't know if I want to say personal, but, you have a little chip, to try to get back. When you look back at that first fight, was it just one single mistake? Do you feel like, or was it a good, he hit you with a left hook that was the beginning of the end? Was that just a good play on his part?
Yeah, for me, I don't like to overthink it. I just think that I'm a whole different fighter. And I think that I had to go through that to get to where I am today. I don't like to look back on there and be like, oh man, he read this or he read that. It was a short notice fight for both of us. I just think I just got caught. It's 4-ounce gloves. It happens. But in the end, like looking back at it, looking at the trolls and the stuff that always like post it and send me pictures of it and stuff like that, it does nothing but motivate me because I've come a long way since that fight, and I'm a whole different fighter. So for me, I'm just more excited that, that he's continued to win and he's continued to finish guys, and he's number 4 in the world. So it's not like I lost to a bum. So no, exactly. I always like when I fight opponents, I always like to pay attention to them afterward to see what they do next. And I always hope that they always win.
You're 6-0 with a no contest since then, so obviously things have continued to do well for you. You went into that fight on a winning streak as well, so you've been really hot for quite a while now. But what would you say is the difference between the Belal Muhammad of 2022 compared to the late 2018 version that lost to Luque?
Honestly, I just think that it's going through the grind. I've been through a lot more now. when I was fighting that one, like I said, I was 9-0 when I first got into the UFC. Then I lost my first debut, but it was a fight of the night. So it was like, all right, I had an excuse. It was fight of the night, but it was a debut, short notice fight, and it was in Ramadan. So I was like, yeah, you know what? You give yourself those excuses, and then you come in your second fight in the UFC, and I won by TKO. So then I'm like, all right, I'm back on board, back to the winning ways, back with my confidence. So you're back in that hype, and then all of a sudden you get caught in your third fight. So then you start realizing, all right, there's people out here that could put you to sleep one punch. There's people out here that just had that natural power, natural ability. So I need to step up my defense, step up my game, and in the end, I ended up doing that, and I've been a lot better guys since then. And one of the biggest things was beating a guy like Wonder Boy, because a guy like Wonder Boy beat Luque, and he beat him pretty handily. So it's like when they called me for the Wonder Boy fight, I was like, whoa, I don't want to fight Wonder Boy. He beat Jeff Neal and he beat Luque, and both those guys beat me. So what am I going to do differently that they didn't do? So that was more of a confidence thing for me, where it was like, I was looking for, give me somebody else, give me Chimaev instead of Wonder Boy. But getting past Wonder Boy, I think it puts me over the hump and it lets me know that I belong in here with these top guys, and I could beat anybody in the world.
It's interesting to hear you say that, because you fighters are humans too, and you guys have the same doubts and fears and worries that the rest of us have, right? But even though you had that concern, hey, I don't want to fight Wonder Boy, because you still went ahead and did it, right? And that maybe separates you guys from everybody else. What is the calculus, Belal, that you make when you have a fight that maybe the matchup isn't what you want, or there's things about the opponent that maybe you don't particularly like? How do you go through in your mind? Because I know you're a yes, right? So,
Yeah.
I think I said about you one time, you're the ultimate yes man. They ask you for a fight, you say yes, right? So how do you get from, boy, I'm not sure I want to fight Wonder Boy, to, hey, I'm going to kick his butt?
It's just honestly having a tight circle around you, my coaches, my team, just having them and understanding that they know how to read guys. I think that my team's the best at reading opponents and understanding where their weaknesses are and how to beat them. And like for me, I'm always doubting myself, because I always think I can do better. I always think I need to be better than what I am. If I train twice a day, I think I need to go one more time. I'm not going hard enough. But my coach is always looking at me like, bro, you're going to be a champion. I know how good you are. You get right when I told him Wonder Boy fight. Oh yeah, dude, we had the right game plan to beat him. And I'm sitting there like, you talking about the same Wonder Boy? You think it's going to be easy? And, just having those guys around me, I think that it just gives me more confidence. And, I have 3 brothers, and they're all like, my oldest brother is the type of guy that I always tell me like, bro, you need to be fighting for the title right away. And it was like my first fight in the UFC, and I'm like, bro, relax. You need to be fighting this guy or that guy. Like, trust me, you're gonna kill these guys. And I'm looking at it as a, yo, all right, let me work my way up to the top. And he's always telling me, no, you're this, you trust me, you're this good. So just having those guys around me are the ones that like push me. And even though I still had those doubts, I had those doubts probably up until probably 2 weeks before the Wonder Boy fight, where I was like, dang, am I going to get caught with one of his things? You read comments and people are like, yo, he did this, and this to this guy. There's not really anybody in there that dominated him. He goes in there with a crazy style. I was in there with camps with Anthony Pettis and Woodley, and then they were saying that there's really no way to emulate him. And, it just makes you a little bit nervous. But then you start realizing, telling yourself, I can be good enough. Why can't I be good enough? If I want to be the champ, I have to fight guys like this, and I have to get over these little humps and these hurdles. And just getting over that one right there, I think that just put me on a whole new level of confidence.
That's interesting to hear you say that. Did you get any boost from Gilbert Burns's performance against him? Gilbert Burns, no, he's a different fighter than you, and he fought a different fight, right? But, when you saw that Wonder Boy, there was ways to beat him, right? I mean, did that make any impact on you?
A little bit, but then it also made me overthink it too, because people are like, well, it's going to be easy. You take him down, you hold him down. But then if you just lost like that, obviously you're going to be working twice as hard to not let that happen again. So then made you think like, man, I wonder how hard Wonder Boy's wrestling is right now. He's probably wrestling hard right now, because obviously his kickboxing is the best in the division. So basically this whole camp's going to be him working on defending the takedown. And then you telling yourself like, should I even try to take him down, because it's not going to be worth it? And then it's like, all right, you go in there, you get a feel for him, and you feel like, all right, I belong in here. Once I got that first takedown, I was like, all right, I could do this. Let's keep this going. That felt okay. That felt all right. He hit me with the spinning heel kick. That didn't hurt. That's fine. All right. That was what we were worried about. We were worried about those weird shots and just feeling that stuff. It just, the momentum and the confidence just started building round by round.
How much, from a psychological standpoint, your teammate Juliana Pena wins the title, right? And I thought she was nuts before the fight, right? She's saying Amanda Nunes is ducking me, and it's like, hey, Amanda's not ducking you, right? Why would she be ducking you? And she had this brash talk, and it was almost crazy talk, right? And then she goes out and she backs up her words. How much, when you see that, somebody that you see trained, that you see, does that translate into helping your own confidence, knowing, hey, I'm successful too. I'm in a similar position in my division as she was in hers, and she had that confidence. I can do the same thing.
Yeah, honestly, like the high tides raise all ships. Our team is running hot right now. We're a small team, and a lot of the time when we're working, or one of us has a fight, the whole team's like working on to help that person further fight. So I was seeing her in her camps, and especially the first time I got pulled out, and then she went back into the gym, started working hard again, and people were sitting there like, oh, she's lying, she doesn't believe it, but like, she's not fake. When she says, she's like, when she believes it, what she says, she believes. And even in the training room, like, you can just tell the confidence that she has, and it just makes you more confident as well too, because like, I'm doing the same stuff as her, so I should be having the same confidence, and it just makes you you hungrier, because you see her and you see all the doubt that she had, and then you see her fighting literally the GOAT, Amanda Nunes. Obviously, I've had days where I'm looking at her like, it's gonna be tough. What can she do what is she gonna do to beat her? Like, Amanda Nunes is so good everywhere, and working the desk and being an analyst, you try to break down a girl like that, and man, it's like, what way is there to beat her besides being tough and being in her face and breaking her? And I was like, if there's something that Juliana could do, she could break her. That is possible. But I don't know if she's tough enough. But then when I saw that round, the second round, and she was standing there taking go from blow for her, and I'm seeing her break, and it just makes you more excited. And it's like, fatigue makes a coward of us all. It wasn't like it was like it was a crazy choke or a crazy submission. She just got tired and she broke mentally, and I think that's what our team is very good at, breaking guys.
You're in an interesting position. You win this fight, and you got to assume you're fourth, right? If you beat the fourth ranked guy, and now above you, a couple guys that Leon Edwards and Usman fighting, and so you got a lot going on there. What do you think a win over Luque does? Where does it put you in the division? What do you think would be logical next if you win this?
I think it comes down to this weekend as well. It comes down to if Khamzat wins. I think that if he wins, I think it'll end up being the winner of my fights him. If Gilbert Burns ends up winning, I think that the winner of our fight's the number one contender to fight Usman or Leon Edwards. And in general, I don't know if Usman really is going to be back in July. So I really want to see if they actually book that fight, because I've heard bad things about those hand injuries, and I know that they always re-hurt and things like that. So I don't know if he's trying to come back a little bit too quicker than he should. If that happens, then maybe there's an interim title fight, and it's me against Leon. So there's a lot of things that can happen, but I think it all just comes down to first beating Vicente with a great performance. Like, I've been calling for a main event. I've been wanting a main event. My last one got spoiled by an eye poke. So it's this time I go over there, I want to show them that I should be a main event. I need more main event fights.
And a lot of people, like, I think if they don't look at the record, they go, he lost to Leon Edwards, right? It was one round of a 5-round fight that you did not lose the fight, right? The fight did not come to a conclusion. So given that, in that history that the two of you have, does that make you want to fight him, have him beat Usman and fight him more? Or would you prefer to be the guy that knocks Usman off the perch?
It's funny because I was just talking to somebody about that the other day, about like, guys are so good at like changing the narrative. Like, guys can sit there and people, the normal Joe Schmo fan will believe whatever you tell them, and they're like, oh yeah, he was killing him. I'm looking back at the stats. It was like 16 strikes to 9 strikes in that Leon fight. It was not that, just because he says, oh, the fight would have continued on that way. No, it wouldn't have. There's 4 more rounds. You've seen it happen a million times where guys lose the first round and they come back and win. And even kind of with this Wonder Boy fight, where he keeps telling people, oh, it wasn't really a fight. He just held me down. And I'm sitting there like, you don't 30-25 somebody just by holding them down and laying on top of them. You 30-25 somebody by hurting somebody. But guys have a big following, and they just say something and people just believe it. But for me, honestly, I want to fight Usman. That's the guy that the pound for pound champ, the guy that they say is unbeatable. But for me, I see a lot of openings in his game, and I see that my style really matches up well with him. I think that the guy who's giving him his toughest fight is Kobe Covington, and I think that I'm a better version of Kobe Covington. So I think that me fighting him would make for a great fight.
I'll ask you the same question I asked Gilbert Burns recently, and I talked to him about, the fact that, hey, he's got a big fight against Chimaev. If he wins that fight, be right there for title consideration again. But then Usman's talking about fighting Canelo Alvarez. So it's like, on the one hand, hey, you don't want to deny a guy a massive payday if he fights Canelo Alvarez in a boxing match. But by the same token, if he does do that, that puts all you guys kind of on the back burner. How do you view that? And like, if I don't think that personally, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's in the cards, but he thinks it is. So if it does, let's just play the hypothetical. If it does, Belal, how do you react to it?
I mean, like I said, if for a big payday, yeah, obviously anybody would want a big payday, and I'll be happy for him to get his big payday. But to me, I think that he's good at just creating headlines, and you see it nowadays with like a McGregor who would just like post the most random things just to stay in the attention and stay in the fans' eyes. Usman's injured right now, so he's not really fighting or anything right now. So saying those type of things, bringing up that type of attention, just gets the fans talking and interacting and bringing up your name. I don't think he really wants that fight. I don't think that fight's really going to happen. But I just think it's those guys like him that are smart at just stealing headlines. Like you see McGregor, why wasn't I at WrestleMania? Like, shut up, dude. You're nobody cares about you anymore. But like, you want that attention. You like, that's what he lives for now.
You're good at that stuff, though. I see your social media.
I tried that, but like, I understand it. Like, I understand. If I come at McGregor, then it's gonna get all of his fanboys to come and interact with me. So like, I'm happy about it. I'm cool with it. It's funny to me when these little trolls come and attack it. But like, I understand it. And I understand what these guys are doing. But don't sit there and say that, man, I can knock out Canelo Alvarez in the second round. Like, it's not the same sport. It's not the same thing. And Canelo Alvarez is not gonna let that. I don't even think Canelo Alvarez. He was asked about it. And he's just like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? Who? Right. Okay, sure.
Yeah, no, I asked him about it, and he just said payday. So let's wrap on this, and this is something like, I think these kind of fights hurt MMA, right? And the reason I say that is, you're talking about somebody who's a specialist in boxing compared to somebody who's a generalist, and does a little bit of everything, right? So when you put those fights together, if they're similar level fighters, the boxer's almost always going to win, right? So why do them? And don't you think that makes MMA look bad, even though, in a real fight, an MMA fighter would destroy a boxer? But, when you keep going into these boxing matches and guys keep going, getting beaten, I mean, don't you think it hurts the image of your sport?
Not really the sport. I think it just kills these guys' legacies a little bit. Like, I mean, when you see a guy like Ben Askren, who was a world champion and things like that, people forget it. Nobody remembers that anymore. All they remember is him getting knocked out by Jake Paul. Even kind of like Woodley too, where he was a champion. He was considered one of the guys that was right underneath the GSP. And then same way, you lose to Jake Paul, and it just hurts your legacy more than anything. I don't think it really hurts the sport because, like you said, people know if we're in the backyard and you're saying, oh, yo, me against you, let's fight. MMA fighter is going to win 90% of the time. And I think boxers know that as well. I think that if they start doing that Muay Thai fight, kind of like the Demetrius Johnson one, something like that would be cool. It'd be like, all right, we'll box for one round, then we get to grapple. And I think that somebody like a Tyson Fury wouldn't be afraid to do something like that. I think how you're saying that, like, I'll box Francis with 4-ounce gloves. All right, now that makes it a little bit more interesting. But if you're sitting there like just a regular boxing match in your world, it's not the same.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, on April 16th, you can see this young man in action against Vicente Luque, which should be a fantastic fight. It has Fight of the Night written all over it. We wish you luck, Belal, my friend, and all the best to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
See you soon.